This week in particular, there's been a lot of noise involving the Rockets and potential interest in Suns guard Devin Booker. Where did it all start? Tim McMahon of ESPN was on a podcast with Brian Windhorst. It's called The Hoop Collective. And starts off by saying, look, the Rockets are having a great year. They're a star away from being a bona fide championship contender.
But I tell you, I mentioned that last 15 games, they are 8th in the league in offensive efficiency during those last 15 games. And it's really a remarkable thing because they still aren't shooting it well. Green is recently. He's shooting it better than he has throughout the course of the season for sure. During those 8 games, they ranked 24th in effective field goal percentage, 24th in true shooting percentage, and 8th in offensive efficiency. How does that math work? They don't turn it over, and they pound you on the offensive glass. And then, this is one of the best defensive teams in the league. So it's all a very interesting combination. And again, they're a star away, whether that's emerging on the roster or acquiring down the road, from being a real threat.
I'm glad Tim said emerging on the roster because it can emerge on this roster. Will it? Remains to be seen if Jalen Green is going to turn into one of the top players in the league. But the way he's playing right now, much like the way he was playing last March, he is playing currently like one of the best players in the league. He's caught fire. Consistency has been an issue for him, but I mean, the dude's 22 and he turns 23 in 3 weeks. So there's theoretically more upside on this front. But the reason the star narrative, this idea that the Rockets need to acquire one, which was obviously the Daryl Morey way, like F chemistry. I'm just going to get name after name after name and hope that they figure it out and try to fill in the roster after them. Did work pretty well, to Morey's credit. They were a Chris Paul hamstring away from potentially going to the NBA Finals and maybe even winning those NBA Finals. But I am concerned that Tillman Fertitta and or Patrick Fertitta hear this, see Devin Booker's on a struggling Suns team, and think to themselves, we got to go get him. Tim McMahon said that Devin Booker to the Rockets would be a pretty interesting possibility on that Brian Windhorst podcast, the Hoop Collective.
There's an understanding they need a star. To ultimately be a true, legitimate championship contender, they need a big-time offensive engine. Now, the likelihood is that's something they'll have to look at in the trade market, whether it's De'Aaron Fox this summer. Certainly they've got a lot of Suns draft capital, and they've let it be known they are Devin Booker fans. There's no indication that Devin Booker, and certainly not the Suns, have any interest in participating in that. But if you talk to people in Houston, they say, hey, we also think we've got some potential.
Devin Booker is staying with the Suns. I don't see, just to interject, I don't see any wavering on that whatsoever. Just to interject.
There's been not any indication. Like I said, there's interest, and that's been expressed, and no indication that it's even a possibility. The only reason I bring it up is because if you look at their assets,
right, they have a lot of Suns stuff.
They got a lot of Suns capital.
Right. That's why Booker keeps getting brought up, because the Rockets have all of that Suns draft capital. What a strange report, no? From Tim McMahon saying the Rockets are fans of Devin Booker. We saw this pop up on that NBA aggregator account at NBA Central just as a report. Rockets are fans of Devin Booker. So they like him. Cool, I guess. What does that mean? I'm sure they like Giannis. I'm sure they like Nikola Jokic too.
He's one of the best players in the league. I hope that they like him.
I would hope they like him.
And he's 28 years old.
Yeah. They also like James Harden, for what it's worth.
Yeah. They like Kevin Durant too.
Yeah.
They like a lot of these guys.
And by they, I mean the Fertittas and perhaps Ime Udoka. Not Ime Udoka. Perhaps Rafael Stone, not Ime Udoka.
On the Harden side.
On Harden, yes. So, very strange report. I like that Windhorst came in at the end and said it's not happening. The Suns have shown no indication that they would. It is weird, though, that in Vegas, the Rockets are by far the favorites to land Booker. They're minus 200.
Odds on.
Yeah.
Odds on favorites.
If it was plus something, to me, I'd be like, okay, whatever. They're minus 200. They're the only minus out there. So they're the odds on favorite to get him. Does this hold as a minus 200 bet until the offseason? Is it going to get even bigger?
Yeah, it's also like what Brian Windhorst was saying. There's zero indication that Devin Booker is interested in asking out or that the Phoenix Suns are interested in trading Devin Booker. So this is all very down the road of hypothetical situation. And like McMahon is saying the Rockets have a bunch of trade assets that all belong to that are all Phoenix picks in the future. If Phoenix wants to trade Devin Booker, they're going to be bad. And if they're going to be bad, they're going to want their own draft picks back. Rockets also, good team, maybe need a star. Like we both said, it could also just be the stars on the roster right now. And you just need to give them time to develop. So I can see how the dots connect. But where we are at in like NBA media discourse of rumors is just like, this just makes logical sense that a trade could happen here. There's no actual reason to believe that this is close to happening.
Totally agree. And as I said a week ago, 2 weeks ago or so, the last time we had a conversation about, hey, do the Rockets make a move? Because it gets asked every day.
It's like a weekly thing of like,
and someone will always text in whenever we talk about the Rockets. Hey, are they going to make a move? People want them to make a move. Nationally, people want them to do something because I think they want something to talk about. And it would be fun if the Rockets made some sort of huge trade in the middle of the season, like the trade that they made for James Harden right before tip-off the season back in 2012?
2012, yeah.
It wasn't a trade for Dwight Howard, but when they got Dwight Howard, like they just want a big splashy thing to talk about.
Trade for Chris Paul, trade for Russell Westbrook. Like that's what they've done throughout the last decade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a dead period of NBA action because people are not as focused on it as they will be in the months to come. And I think people want to see something happen. And the Rockets, they look at as a team with a lot of young players and the fact that they have all this capital. And they're like, what if they add somebody? That would be cool. That's what this is. It's not reporting. It's just, that would be cool.
I will say that some of this is, I don't want to say the Rockets' fault because it's not really anything too bad that's happening. But some of this does fall back on the Rockets when they hired Ime Udoka and had the introductory press conference. That would have been April 2023 when I think it was Tillman Fertitta said that we are entering in phase 2, that this is phase 2 of Houston Rockets basketball, that they're no longer losing. And everyone took that as, they're going to try to make win now moves, make more, get more veteran laden.
Which was concerning because we thought, hey, they're going to bring in James Harden.
Yes.
Oh, God.
And what they ended up doing was they ended up signing Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Jeff Green, Jock Landale.
All of them have been pretty good. Jeff Green played a little bit.
All of them been solid. Varying degrees of solid. They traded for Steven Adams. And they haven't really made the win now move. Those are all winning moves. I wouldn't say they're like win now moves. They're not throwing your chips in.
Exactly. It's a winning culture move.
Yeah.
Build a winning culture with players like this.
But since then, we've talked about, or all we've kind of expected, and now I think, especially this recent Jalen Green run and the recent Rockets one where they're 5-1, 6-1 in January, that now I don't think I expect them to make a move, at least like this season, definitely not. And even in the offseason, like I don't know how desperate they're gonna be to make a star move, because as it looks like, the more time you're giving Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun and Amin Thompson now entering the starting lineup, the more and more likely that the star of the next Houston Rockets team is already on the Houston Rockets.
I'm with you.
Before this season, and definitely before last season, it didn't look like that.
There's only one player I'd want to trade for. It's Giannis. That's really it. Otherwise, I think you stay the course. Someone on the text line said it. A couple of people are suggesting other names. Christopher Soriano on YouTube says, I wouldn't mind Giannis. Christian Velas claims when there's smoke, there's fire. I don't think there's much to this smoke. I really don't.
I mean, the smoke is that the Phoenix Suns are under 500.
Right.
That's the smoke. That's why we're talking about it. If the Phoenix Suns were the 4 seed, like this would be non-starter. Like this is like saying like Ja Morant is going to be a Houston Rockets. Like, it's not going to happen because the Grizzlies are too good, and Ja Morant's happy because they're winning games. The only reason that there's even like an ounce of this is like we kind of know how this goes, especially with a team with Kevin Durant on it.
Right.
When they start underperforming, they got swept out of the first round last year. Looks like they're going to be in the play-in at best this offseason or this playoffs. So this is, again, we're talking about things that are going to happen in April, May, June, July, in January right now. So could it happen? Maybe. Is it happening right now? No.